Good morning. My name is John Terry. I work for the Vicksburg Fire Department. Been there since December of 2017. I'm assigned to the rescue where I've been for most of that time with the exception of about 2 months. I'm currently assigned right seat, which means I call the shots on the rescue, size up the scenes, make determinations and what actions to take. And that gets kind of tricky at times. Something I've noticed on these fire scenes is a lot of firefighters are letting their rope skills lax. So this presentation is directed toward certified firefighters who may or may not have been one of those guys to just kind of forget their skills. Uh, Today we're going to talk about a handful of the knots that you learn in rookie school. We're going to talk about how to build them correctly. Uh, the safety of a correctly built knot, the proficiency of different ideas as to how to use those knots. All the information I'm going to cover is going to be out of the Jones and Bartlett Fundamentals of Firefighting, I think. The book you used in rookie school, 3rd edition. Sorry, I'm on duty. Alright, most rope tasks have a certain knot that's found to be proficient and the safest way to do it. Using those knots is going to make things go smoothly. It's going to lessen the danger. Inherently, with rope rescue or any kind of rope operation, there's going to be some risk involved. Using the rope correctly, the correct knots, the correct hardware is going to minimize that danger. Properly constructing knots, that's very essential. In a poorly constructed knot is the pressures aren't where they should be. Also, if you construct your knot correctly, at a glance you can identify the knot. It's easier to untie. It's going to be a stronger knot. Dressing it also makes the flaws in your knot stand out. At a glance you can see a problem. First knot we're going to talk about is the overhand knot. Everyone knows the overhand knot. It's the simplest one we have. The overhand knot is just exactly what it sounds like. First knot we use when we tie our shoes. Overhand knot is also known as a safety knot. It's the one we use to safety any kind of knot that we use. Next knot we're going to talk about is going to be the half hitch. Half hitch is that. It's what we use a lot when we're hoisting equipment, or like a pike pole, we're hoisting an axe. It's a knot that's going to keep the rope in line with the load. Clove hitch. Clove hitch in the open is pretty simple. You're going to twist opposite directions, put it together, you have a clove hitch. Another way to do it, if you want to put it over something, same thing. Well, I'm sorry, we just did that. Another way to do it, around and across and through the middle. I'm not going to safety any of these just so that you can see the knot. The next knot we're going to talk about is going to be the figure eight. Just a regular figure eight, otherwise known as a stopper knot. In rescue work and rappelling, we call it a stopper knot because when you put the figure eight in the line 5 or 6 feet from the end of your rope, your descender will not let it pass through. It stops you short of the end of the rope. The next knot we're going to talk about is going to be figure eight on a bite. Take your rope, put a bite in it. Take the bite, tie your figure eight. Go around, back through. Primarily figure eight on a bite rather is used with carabiners. So when you're finished, it should look something like that, maybe a little smaller. Let's see. Ideally, you want it just big enough for a carabiner to fit through for this application. The third edition teaches a safety knot. I'm told in classes since rookie school that we don't really need a safety knot for a figure eight because the only way that the figure eight is going to fail is if the knot breaks, making the safety knot redundant. But if you were going to, you'd tie it right here. The next knot we're going to discuss will be a figure eight follow through, which you would use for trying to put a figure eight on a bite around something you can't get it through, get moved. First thing you do is tie a figure eight in the rope. You would go around whatever object you're trying to go around and simply follow your line back through. This takes practice. You want to get used to getting enough rope. And if I were trying to go around a banister or, I don't know, a tree limb or whatever, like I said, we would tie the initial figure eight, take the end of the rope over, come back and follow through, then tighten it up. Ideally on a figure eight family, that's about what you want for a tail. 4 to 6 inches is what I'm told. Again, you can look this information up in the newer essentials. Next knot we're going to discuss, and I really couldn't tell you a reason to use this knot off the top of my head. We're going to talk about the bowline. The simplest way I know to tie the bowline is hard to describe. That is the bowline. You want to tighten that up and you would safety it here. However, I've had instructors teach me to go around and come back through the top. A bowline is just a slip resistant loop in the end of a rope. Next knot we're going to discuss will be the water knot. For that, typically you want to use webbing. Now the water knot is something you're going to tie when you need a continuous loop of webbing. Just tie an overhand knot in the end, one end of the webbing. Then follow that overhand knot through with the other end of the webbing. And it should look something like that. Tail's a little long on this side, a little short on this side. With practice, you'll get it evened out. It's crucial that you are able to pick the correct knot for the job. Hoisting equipment is typically going to be figure eights, half hitch, clove hitches. Properly constructed, properly placed. There's a lot of places we use knots in the fire service. I could start. It's hard for me to remember because I've been in rescue work so long. It's hard to put myself back on the fire ground hoisting things and such. But with a little thought, you can come up with some ways and some reasons that you really should train on this. Has anyone got any questions?